Paddington is a story about a character that has their home destroyed in Peru and moves to London as a refugee. He doesn't go through the proper channels, he slips over the border by hiding in a boat, then a mail truck, and once he's actually in the city, he faces prejudice because he's different. The fact that Paddington is actually a bear might make him adorable, but doesn't change the fact that this is an immigrant story. So how does Paddington manage to make this new place his home despite all the difficulties that come with it? We're talking all about it this week in Kaden's Movie Club. Spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen it, beat it. Get out of here. This is one of my favorites. Before Paddington was around, his guardians, Aunt Lucy and Uncle Pastuzo, were visited by a British explorer. He shared his culture with them, which is why years later they can speak English, have a love for marmalade, and hope to visit London one day.
This is London. That's where I'm from.
London.
Good Lord. Now try Stratford-upon-Avon.
Years later, Lucy and Pastuzo are raising Paddington when tragedy strikes. An earthquake devastates their home. Paddington and Lucy survive, but lose Uncle Pastuzo in the disaster.
Aunt Lucy.
Aunt Lucy recognizes that there is no real future for Paddington there. She believes she's too old to make the journey, but sends Paddington off on his own to London, hoping that he'll be able to make a better life for himself there. Unfortunately, when Paddington gets to London, this proves to be much harder than they thought it would be.
Good morning. Really tipping it down, isn't it? Oh, strange. How do you do? I'm just looking for a home, and hello? Excuse me? Does anyone know where I can find a home?
At best, people ignore Paddington's requests for help, and at worst, they think poorly of him just because he's a bear.
Oh, stranger danger.
What?
Keep your eyes down. There's some sort of bear over there, probably selling something.
Good evening.
No, thank you.
Oh dear. Must be doing something wrong.
Now there's two important things I want to highlight here. The British explorer is well-intentioned, and later on in the story is shown to even protect the bears when others want to exploit them. But I think there's some commentary here. The explorer instills in the bears aspects of his own culture that they integrate into their own, which results in a kind of mix of cultures over time. The bears are heavily influenced by this culture coming to them, but when Paddington later tries to join that culture, he's rejected. Another irony is highlighted when Aunt Lucy tells Paddington why she thinks London will welcome him.
There was once a war in the explorer's country. Thousands of children were sent away for safety, left at railway stations with labels around their necks, and unknown families took them in and loved them like their own. They will not have forgotten how to treat a stranger.
Unfortunately, many of them have forgotten, but not everyone.
Hello there.
Mary.
Oh, hello.
The person that finally recognizes that Paddington is simply a bear in need of help is Mrs. Brown. She repeatedly pushes her family to help Paddington. The person most opposed is Mr. Brown, the father. Mr. Brown isn't a cruel man, but he does carry with him a fear of the world. He works as a risk analyst and is constantly warning his children about all the ways they could be harmed if they're not careful.
Jonathan, don't jump like that. 7% of childhood accidents start with jumping.
But if I'm going to be an astronaut...
Well, you're not going to be an astronaut.
You can be whatever you want, Peanut.
Naturally, that fear carries over into his treatment of Paddington. He doesn't know the bear, so he doesn't trust the bear.
Everyone's gone for the night. You'll just have to come home with us.
No way.
Dad?
Jonathan, stay where you are.
He's so embarrassing.
Can't just leave him here.
Of course we can. He's not our responsibility.
Fortunately, Mrs. Brown's compassion wins out, and they agree to house Paddington temporarily until they can find a proper home. But what exactly is a proper home?
You need a proper guardian.
What's that?
It's a grown-up who takes you into their home and looks after you.
Like you?
Yes, well, I suppose so.
But not you.
No, we don't do that.
Paddington and the Browns determined that if they can locate the explorer that visited the bears in Peru all those years ago, he would know what to do. So they launch an investigation that takes them all over London. Meanwhile, we find out that there's somebody else in London who's interested in Paddington, but for all the wrong reasons. Millicent works as a taxidermist and curator for the Natural History Museum, illegally collecting live specimens, then stuffing them to add to exhibits. She learns that a rare bear has been seen in London and becomes determined to add Paddington to her collection. She knows she can't snatch Paddington in broad daylight, so she takes advantage of somebody else to do it. And that would be the neighborhood grouch, Mr. Curry. Mr. Curry lives next to the Browns and clearly discriminates against Paddington for being a bear right from the start.
You must be a long way from home.
I'm from darkest Peru.
Oh,
Don't worry, Mr. Curry. He's going.
just as well. Don't want to be kept up by any of your loud jungle music.
Once Millicent knows about Mr. Curry's views, she is able to manipulate him.
I suppose I should be grateful that it's only one bear.
Oh, but it always starts with just one, Mr. Curry. Soon the whole street will be crawling with them. Drains clogged with fur, buns thrown at old ladies, raucous all-night picnics.
She tells him that bears don't belong here, and she'll make sure Paddington goes back to where he belongs.
But I can't do it alone. I need a strong, capable man to help me.
But we know that she has no intention of doing that, and instead wants to stuff Paddington and put him in an exhibit, all for her own personal gain. So we now have a range of people that have reacted to Paddington. When it comes to how we treat people who leave their homes and cultures in search of a better life, we might react to it in different ways that resemble these characters. On one end, we have the Millicents of the world. This is people who have absolutely no compassion or empathy at all. In fact, they see an opportunity to take advantage of people and exploit the situation to their benefit. They use fear-mongering. They prey upon people's already existing fears of things that are different from them to then get what they want. Then we have the Mr. Currys, people who are already predisposed with some levels of prejudice. They might not be as cruel as the Millicents, but their fears allow people like Millicent to manipulate them into being more cruel than they really want to be. And then we have the Mr. Browns. Mr. Brown isn't cruel, he's not evil, he's mostly well-intentioned. He may not be as easily deceived as Mr. Curry, but he has allowed his fears of the world to override his instincts to help someone in need.
How can he live with us if we can't even trust him?
I don't know, Henry.
We've got to face facts. This house just isn't the place for a bear.
Perhaps you're right.
Honestly, I think many of us have probably been a Mr. Brown at one time or another. The challenge is to become more of a Mrs. Brown. Mrs. Brown wants to experience all the world has to offer. She wants to live and enjoy things, and she starts with love. Leading with compassion, empathy, and an unassuming nature is Mrs. Brown's standard.
What are you going to do now?
Well, I thought I would probably just sleep over there in that bin.
That's the spirit. Anyway.
Dad! Why don't we find you some help?
Oh, yes, please. If you're sure it's no trouble.
Of course it isn't. Is it, darling?
Not at all.
And you might be saying, well, it's easy to love Paddington. Come on, look at him. Think of all the silly hijinks Paddington gets into over the course of the movie. They're meant to be funny sequences, but they also highlight that loving Paddington is not always easy. He sometimes accidentally causes problems. There's many things he has to learn about living in this new place, and the Browns have to exercise a lot of patience. But here's the real hope of the movie. Anyone along this range that isn't actually evil like Millicent can change, even if it's incremental at first. Mr. Curry doesn't do a complete 180, but when he realizes Millicent's intentions are not what he thought, and she's captured Paddington, he does help the Browns find him.
I have some news concerning the bear.
Who is it, Henry?
It's Mr. Curry doing a silly voice.
It's Barry.
He says Paddington's been kidnapped.
He shouldn't have assumed bears were bad in the first place, and he shouldn't have been tricked by Millicent. But if Mr. Brown had hung up on Mr. Curry when he was trying to help, they wouldn't have saved Paddington in time. And of course, Mr. Brown eventually chooses to set aside his fears and hesitations and follow Mrs. Brown's example. He replaces fear with bravery, which this story reminds us is the same as replacing hate with love.
It doesn't matter that he comes from the other side of the world, or that he's a different species, or that he has a worrying marmalade habit. We love Paddington, and that makes him family. And families stick together. So if you want him, you'll have to take us all.
The story of Paddington helps us recontextualize a common situation with an uncommon subject. By taking something out of the ordinary, it puts something we're all aware of into a new light so we can consider it with a fresh perspective. And then it goes one step further and poses a question.
Like you.
Yes, well, I suppose so.
But not you.
If not us, then who? If we decide not to lead with love and compassion, if we decide not to help those around us in need, who will? Of course, the world can be a scary place. Bad people exist all over the world. We can be cautious and protective of ourselves and our loved ones, but there's going to come a time in which we have the opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. And there will probably be all kinds of reasons that come to our mind on why we should be afraid to help. But the question is, when will we set those fears aside and choose to love people instead? because it's only through a stranger's love and compassion that Paddington was seen not just as a bear, but for who he was. And that's how he found a home away from home. And next week, we'll be switching gears and looking at a story that presents many different kinds of love as the driving force for its characters. And just to be perfectly clear, we are watching the 2019 version of Little Women by Greta Gerwig, which is based on the 1868 novel by Louisa May Alcott and has been adapted many times. Little Women follows the March sisters, who live in Massachusetts in the 1860s, and it's incredible how many different authentic life experiences this movie captures. It examines love between siblings, parental love, romantic love, the absence of love, and self-love. It looks at it in a timeless way, but also pays tribute to the constraints these women were put under at the time. So here's some questions to keep in mind while you watch. The original book and most adaptations tell a linear story, so why do you think Greta Gerwig decided to tell this version in a non-linear way? How do all the different kinds of love that are represented in the story help or hinder the characters as they progress in life? Are there any specific experiences in the story that you relate to? Are there any that helped you to look at relationships in your own life differently? So let's chat about Paddington in the comments, and I'll see you back here next Sunday to discuss Little Women. And if you want to stay in the know about Movie Club, you know where to go.